Hello and welcome to Restore 2023. We're reading today from a very important chapter in the book of Daniel, but also in the whole of scriptures. Daniel chapter 7 serves as a hinge of chapters 1 to 6 and the remaining of the chapters. We've returned now to the reign of Belshazzar, and this is prior to the night of the feast that is in the background for chapters 5. Now, this also is part of the Aramaic section of the book, because we know that ends in the end of chapter 7. The similarities here with chapter 2 and Nebuchadnezzar's vision point out that as much as these kingdoms, the rulers, come across as powerful, brutal, majestic, they are temporary, and they will eventually be overpowered and outlasted by the righteous kingdom of God. Now, the vision that we read about in Daniel chapter 7 is not for Babylon. This is a message for Daniel himself, and through him to the people who are in exile. And since this time of being released from exile was drawing near, God had promised people to restore them in Jerusalem. We can imagine the mixture of the expectations and the appreciation that filled Daniel's heart. Now, by the time Daniel has got this vision, the idea that the sea was a long established symbol of chaos in the Near Eastern thought was very clear. Now, these monsters that fill the waters, they're not just loose gods with small g, but creatures of the creator God Yahweh. I mean, even Leviathan, the mythical sea creature, is not independent or outside Yahweh's control. And in similar way, the nations, the rulers, the respective leaders that were against God, appearing to be out of control, now we know that with their actions, they're within the plan and the purposes of Yahweh. Commentators have had different views on these four creatures. Well, one view is that the lion is the symbol of Babylon, the bear, the symbol of Medo-Persia, the leopard, symbol of Greece, and the fourth beast is Rome. The second view is there are four successive empires: Babylon, Media, Persia, and Greece. So the difference is about the fourth beast, whether it's Rome or Greece. But the fourth beast is the most frightening and the dreadful of them all. It's incredibly strong, large iron teeth, it crushes, it devours. And there is also another difference from the other three, because this has got 10 horns, and out of those 3 of those 10 horns came up a little horn with eyes of the man and the mouth that was speaking great things. So verse 25 talks a little bit about this little horn speaks terribly words against the Most High God. This little horn persecutes the saints of the Most High God and the servants of the Most High God. And again, this little horn will intend to change times and will tend to change the law. So, but who is this little horn? Well, to those who identify the fourth kingdom with Greece and set the writing of Daniel in the 2nd century before Christ, well, can only be one answer. Well, it's Antiochus Epiphanes. For those who see that the kingdom as Rome and its successors are likely to provide numerous answers. Now, one, I think, was John Calvin that saw that the horn is the Caesars that are persecuting and giving hard time to the saints of the Most High God. But others have kind of focus their interpretation on the rise of the papacy. Some see the era of the 10 horns stretching from the past into the future and ultimately being fulfilled in the final Antichrist. Now, it's not surprising that many dictators and empire builders have been identified with a little horn and have shared some of its worst features. The message of Daniel's dream was clear. These 4 great beasts are 4 kingdoms with representative kings that have come from the earth. And the people who serve the most holy and high God will receive the kingdom, and they will possess it forever. Yes, forever and ever. I love it how Daniel continues watching, and the narrator is putting this down in several verses. But now the scene has radically changed from something that was previously beastly and human to the throne of the Ancient of Days. He's the one who takes the seat on his throne. I mean, even a vision of the greatness and the glory of God is still not enough to overcome sometimes the anxieties, the concerns, and the troubled hearts. And I take comfort in that. I am not alone. Daniel struggled with the same thing. But it is only Daniel that calls God the Ancient of Days. This is God the Father who sits on his eternal throne. And as the Ancient of Days, he's everlasting. He's not old. He's wise. He's not frail and doddery. He's a big God, bigger than Daniel realized, bigger than the petty beasts, kingdoms of this world. Take a moment today and worship God through the descriptions of verse 13 and 14 of chapter 7. Before this awesome and imposing king, court is called into session. The books were open, says verse 10, and in the night vision from the clouds of heaven a figure emerged. Here was a human being, one in the image of God, who was at the same time a heavenly figure who ruled under the rule of God. This was no beast. It had no animal features, no deep, dark chaos, but only light. It came as one like a son of man, a human figure. Boldly, this one approached the courtroom and was led into the presence of the Ancient of Days. And once he was there, he was handed the kingdom, given authority and sovereign power. And all people of all nations and language worship him, because his dominion was everlasting and would not pass away. His kingdom was the one that would not be destroyed or impacted. Here was something Daniel and many others longed and waited for since the fall of Adam. They longed for someone who would live out the divine rule of God. And the words and the encouragement of Daniel for us today is that there is a God who is in control of what is seemingly uncontrollable. There is an Ancient of Days who is seated in the judgment and before whom books are open. He has a plan and a purpose for this world, and that plan and purpose will surely unfold and come to pass. We may not perceive his presence. We may be confused by the world affairs, but he's not asleep. He's not absent. He's ruling and judging. Contrast to the chaos, he'll bring order and rule as it was intended from the beginning.